Today I'll be working on ability lists, building these for different characters, and then also trying a bit of UI clickage. So if you click move here, you'll be able to actually move. And also the end turn, I'll be turning that into a usable button as well. Of course, everything will be pushed into the action queue. So if I choose end turn, it'll add end turn ability to the action queue, and then it will send us to the perform action state, just like before, and then it'll end the turn. So that way we can hook up all kinds of events. Say we enter someone's turn and they get double the attack bonus on their own turn. Then at the start of a turn, you can increase the attack, and then when they click end turn and the end turn action runs, that can remove the bonus stats. So just one example of a billion different things you can do. So I'll just get stuck in then. Where should I start with this? If we need some sort of list here, this is going to be on the unit. Yeah, there'll be something on the unit that holds abilities, I guess. I'll start off just by having an open list. Well, I'll lock it down, but it's going to be just a list of abilities. And maybe the battle unit can pull this list of abilities and then append, or prepend, then append the movement and end turn abilities. So this is a private list. Maybe something like this. Ability list. Part of me thinks that abilities should be its own object, just the same way we've got stats. Yeah, let's keep it clean actually. Let's keep it clean. We'll build an ability class. Can only units have abilities? We'll say yeah for now. Should it be abilities, skills, abilities? Private list of ability list, wrong type of list, as always. So that'll be public public list of ability, just to grab the ability list. Maybe just like that then. More of a property rather than a true function. And at some point there'll be functions for learn, and you can pass in ability maybe. There can be some kind of tracker in here for learning abilities, if your game is going to be more of a traditional RPG where you reach level 5 and then you learn Poison, you reach level 7, you learn Blizzard, then that could maybe be in here somewhere. Maybe it's as simple as that. With some kind of event handler, just saying that you have learned the ability. So yeah, do the usual checks. If ability contains ability, you can remove it. And make this a bool. If you manage to remove it, return true. If you don't, return false. And same thing here, ability list dot contains ability, return false because we couldn't do it. Otherwise, add the ability, do an event, and return true. So in unit, let's do like we have been. Abilities, get, return the component abilities. So now all we need to do to get to this is unit.abilities like that, and then ability list, I think it was, and then we have access. But in this case, we're gonna go through the battle unit. So KHP. List ability, get ability list, and this one will be a function because we want to add to it. We don't want to just return something. So there's the ability list. We'll make our own ability list inside this function. And then we will add to the start of it and add to the end of it. Maybe in the config file we will make the move and end turn abilities, so we can just grab them from that. Public ability, move ability, prefab. I guess it's not prefab if we're talking about the ability class or ability object itself. Okay, so once we get rid of errors, those will pop up here. I'll just return the ability list. All right, so insert is what we want. We want to add it to the start. So index will be 0 for the start, and then what we are adding is the movability. Hmm. Just thinking about the design now, this is maybe the wrong way to go about this. It'll give us a single bar, which is maybe fine, but if I'm planning on giving giving this its own area and this its own area, maybe I can just grab that outside of grabbing the list. You know what? Yeah, let's keep it simple for now. We don't need to worry about inserting any of this sort of stuff. I think maybe a ability list feels like the kind of thing that would be used a lot, so I might just return it like that. Just give the battle unit direct access to the ability list. Um, Maybe this is bad though. Maybe like these, it can just be the parent, like abilities. I mean, abilities, abilities equals that abilities. Okay, well, let's see. What's next? What's next? So it's back to the state machine. Select action. So here is where we need to build the ability list, I guess. Because every time we come back to this state, we want to update whether they can use an action or not to determine if we disable the button. This wouldn't just, we don't want to just run that once at the start of the turn. Ah. Um, Maybe I don't want to wait for it to refresh because the user might see a little flicker or something. Hmm. See, now I've got into my own head about the visuals. So this bar would probably drop down when it's not your turn. and it will pop up again when it is someone's turn that you can actually control. Maybe that's more important later when I add enemies. Okay, keep my head in the game. So this has this got its own object yet? Because this is essentially just a UI item, and similar to how we built the turn order UI. Right, we'll put the code in the enumerator, but might need to go outside of it just if it looks freaky. Let's see. You know what? Maybe it doesn't even need to be in here. Maybe this is just another on. No. I've already thought about that. It does need to be in here. Update every time we enter this state. So yeah, let's get working on the UI script. Okay, let's see. Ability menu, shortcut bar UI. Yeah, let's call it shortcut um, bar UI. I may have already called it that in here actually. No, action bar. Okay. Let's keep it the same then. Action bar UI. So we're gonna subscribe to some events and then we'll use that to refresh the UI. So it's gonna be kind of the same as I'm sure we've done it already in this video for the turn order, or in this series for the turn order. We'll create a template and then we'll link up to a transform and then we'll just spawn template items when we need to create more of them. So it'll be in here. Action item template, we'll just call it. So game object action item template and then serialized transform action item action bar transform or parent transform. And this should be an action as well, I believe. Anytime you want to change the state, we should add an action to the queue and then do it that way. Okay, where are the actions? Here we go. Any small one? Yeah, we'll overwrite this. Um, it should probably be a change state action or change battle state action. Battle state. Mhm. No, I'm just going to see how this would play out. And then once executed, we will battle controller change battle state to no good. Hmm. Type of battle state. No. Maybe something like that. Hmm. This is definitely the part I'm not sure about. Um, to be safe, I would probably make one state for every time you want to change to something that mattered. But part of me thinks it would just be better if I figured out a way to do any state and then just passing in something here. So this is looking for, T is looking for a battle state, but hmm, let's see. In Unity C Sharp, I am changing states in a state machine like following. Um, how would I T with a variable so I can do change battle state variable in here? I stumped you? It'll be reflection. Some way. Equals battle state type dot get type, and then some bullshit like this. Oh wow, killed it. Really killed it. Hmm. Maybe in the state machine itself. Okay. The state type. Okay, so probably pass in a type. File state type. File state type. Okay. Type state type equals type of. Okay, we've already done that. We've got the type. Method info. Type of your class. That'd be battle controller. Get method. Change battle state. Make generic method. State type. And then invoke. This is some wacky looking code. Okay. So then method dot invoke. So this is invoking that method itself. Change battle state. Passing in the instance of your class. That. And null if no parameters. Nope, no parameters. So that would do it. So again, got that little pause before changing frames, before changing states. You can test this out and see if it works, but the important part is adding an event handler on change state or on change battle state. On change, because the whole point is changing battle state. On change event args, and it'll be of the type event args. pass through the type, battle state type, and that pretty much tells us what we've entered, but it doesn't tell us what we left. Previous state type, current state type, maybe that's what we should do. So we get the type of the last state and the type of the current state. Type previous state is there a way of grabbing the current state? State machine. So we have the current state, we just don't have a method to grab it. Okay, current state type, and we will return get type. Okay, current state type. Okay, and then we can just do the same thing after switching states. I don't think we need this in here, which kind of breaks what I'm trying to do by keeping actions as highly contained code that sort of runs everything that it needs to. But I've already got this, really. I've already got when it exits a state and when it enters a state. It might just be safer. You know what? Not really. Not really. I think I've stumbled onto something great. So Xing a state, if I was to put in event handlers here, that is specific to this state machine class itself, not the battle controller or not the game controller when it eventually gets created. It's purely this. So maybe having this in here is actually really, really good, because now we can just catch the battle states. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Previous state would be this. I would want to yield again in between this, as it's got to change the state, and then I will do on change, invoke. This is the sender. New arguments. Previous state type is equal to previous state, and current state type equals. I will just catch it just for clarity. Current state, exactly the same thing. Get current state, and then send that along with that. Now, I will just debug both, just to make sure it's doing what we want it to do. So there's previous state and then current state. And this means anything that should trigger when a state change happens, they can simply subscribe to this on change and then update everything from there based on the current type or even the previous type. So what does that leave us with? I think I've done a fair bit of code without getting back to the important main part, which was the ability bar. Oh, I've called it action bar and then ability bar. We'll just have ability, but action bar is the overarching controller of it all. Action bar UI. Movement bar. Movement will have its own little thing here. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself again. This will have its own object stuck onto it. Its own class, sorry. I need to be more specific. So let's check out the state machine, battle state. When are we changing state in an important way? Do we care about the init battle state? Probably, well, this bit anyway for sure. Select action. Change state, and this will be perform ability action. That's completely wrong thing. It's not an action. It's a battle state. On change battle state action. Here we go. And we need to pass in a battle state type. Action battle state type equals type of select action battle state. And we'll pass that through. The level is 0 because it's the first thing that should be triggering. And then we perform it, which should then just kick us into select action. So all I'm doing this for is so we can actually see it change and get some debug logs. Don't know what'll break. We'll see. Okay, it's in the perform action battle state. Oh, I didn't add a callback, so that makes a lot of sense. Change battle set callback. So what do we want to do after this? Oh my god, this is kind of silly. Because the callback is just going to be we want to go to this state. So change battle action state. This execution probably shouldn't do anything. Like we don't need to do anything. Didn't really think this one through, huh? This may still be important. Or I can say scrap it and add the calls directly in here. Maybe that just makes more sense. Maybe I've tried to over whatever it would be, over architect this when it just isn't necessary, it seems like. Okay, well, it's a work in progress. Let's just go back to the way it was. Select action battle state. That's normal, that's fine. We don't need a change battle state action. Yep, unnecessary. We'll add the part in here. Public static event. event handler. Is this already been used? Maybe it's enter state. So this is valid. Okay, that's great. I don't know if we need to be passing anything through here. Yeah, I don't think we need to be passing anything through. We'll just catch it. Um, maybe we'll pass through the battle unit, because battle states have a very easy way of accessing the battle unit without using singletons, etc. So if I just pass it through here, that's maybe saving a lot of effort. Whose turn is it? Who is the active battler that just entered here? So here we'll just invoke it. This and this will be battle dot turn dot acting battle unit. So we enter this state. On enter gets triggered. So that means simply the action bar UI will just need to select action bar, subscribe to on enter, and now we just have to update here which abilities they can use. Private void update update actions maybe is an overall catch-all term, and it will take a battle unit. So here update actions, and we'll pass in E is a bad word for it. Battle unit. Battle unit. There we go. Alright, so in the UI, I'm going to create, just like I made an item here, I'm going to create an action bar item. Action bar UI item. It's going to hold an image, which is the UI image, icon, um, it'll hold a reference to the button, action bar item template, and the parent is going to be the ability bar UI. That's going to be inactive. And then there'll be a link to an action bar UI item, which will be the movement action, and there'll be and turn action, same deal. So stuck onto this action here, action bar UI item, and we'll just drag in the icon and the button, and do the same thing for the end turn. So action will have this, drag itself into the button and drag the image in here. So we won't really be using the image, I don't think, for end turn. We probably wouldn't use it for movement, but you could always replace this with the type of movement this character has. So if they walk, you can have a walk. If they fly, maybe you would want to add in another button here that says fly or warp or whatever it is. Whatever kind of movement works. So a simple way of doing some checks would be update actions. We're going to update the movement first. So movement action dot, there's no way to access the button from here. Okay. Hmm. Set is interactable, bool is interactable. So the button dot interactable is equal to that. Public void set icon. It's going to be a sprite you pass in here. Icon dot sprite equals sprite. And then probably some kind of button on click as well. Would it be callback maybe? It's a Unity action. Okay. Maybe that's fine as a way of setting the button without actually coming into the object and screwing around. Right, so movement action dot set is interactable. So what would this be? The action bar UI assumes that this is the active unit. So we're going to need something more than just the battle unit coming through here. We want actual arguments. So public class on enter event args, event args. So battle unit. And then movement left and turn. So we're going to swap that out and it will need actual arguments. So acting battle unit will be battle dot turn dot acting battle unit, and movement left equals movement left. So the action bar UI will take a slightly different, taking different parameters here. Update actions, E dot acting battle unit, E dot movement left. So movement left is greater than 0. So if this is true, then the button will be interactable. If it's not true, the button will be set to disabled. So that's a really quick way of just checking before I get stuck into more. Oh, I didn't even add the movement action. So, let's see. I should probably change action to movement action so it's more readable in here. And same for end turn. Let's just see what happens. So this isn't actually doing this. This is, you can click anywhere and come into here. So it just looks like it works. So hold on. If I click here, it still responded to a click, still responded. And now it's not clickable, you see? Now it's not clickable. So that shows that uh, the update function seems to be working. Time to work on the rest. Um, Blocking objects. Is this is this what stops you from being able to click through this and still hit something on the battlefield in the real world? I guess I can check that later. Blocking objects. Hmm. Um. Alright, so we have the movement action, set button callback, and I think I can just do that. Battle controller, change state, select move position. See, this is where I was thinking you would just create another action to change to this, but it seems like this might be fine. And then anything you want, just put the events straight into the states on enter. That's probably a simple way of doing it. And then also let's rip this, finally, let's rip that piece of input code. So when you left click, it doesn't just take you into the move position state. I'll take that, I'll comment it out for now. Let's see. So I'm clicking, left click, it's not taking us into the movement state. And if I click on the button now, there we go. It's working. It's working. So I no longer can click to get into the movement state. If I have no more movement, I can't get into the movement state. So let's work on end turn. Is there an end turn state? No. There probably should be for effects and things like I mentioned earlier. There may not be a change state action running, but we still want some way of catching different effects in the end turn. Even if it's something just like this character has haste and we want to reduce haste's turn count by 1 at the end of the turn, click end turn, send an event, reduce haste by 1, so on, so on. So let's make a end turn state. End turn battle state. We don't actually need an event right now, so I'm not going to add it. Upon entering, I will yield 1 frame. And then I think you just change battle state. What is the next state we want? Select battle unit. Okay. So once this state is entered, it will automatically select a new battler and then continue the turn. I think I'd like to keep this space shortcut, but I might just update how the button is registered. But yeah, this is probably fine. Well, we want to end turn. You only want to end the turn. What am I talking about? If we press space, it will end the turn, but also the action bar should probably update. So this is movement. Probably void update movement. Update and turn. Probably void update ability list. So we'll just separate this into their own categories just to keep it clean. And that way you don't need all these comments either because it's pretty obvious what this function does. We do need the movement left and turn. So update movement left and turn, update and turn. I don't think we need to pass anything through to that one. That should just update the end turn button. So end turn is always going to be active. It's always going to have the same icon at the moment at least. So set button callback. Oh, I've just had a thought. If we do this, that means we will, every time we enter the state, we will add, or maybe not add, but we will set the callback. Maybe that's fine then. I was just thinking this maybe works the same way as subscribing and unsubscribing does. We always want to unsubscribe, that reminds me. Uh, just in case. But yeah, I've got a feeling if this just sets the callback and doesn't just add one, it's fine. But it does, it adds listener. Button dot on click, remove all listeners. There we go. So this makes it pretty clean. So if this action bar item is never destroyed, then at least we're removing all the listeners before we add another one. If we didn't have this, it would just continually add listeners, which I think would probably break or at the least cost more memory. It would probably give us some funky um, response though. Alright, so set the button callback. If this is ending the turn, change battle state to end turn battle state. So let's see if we can end the turn just by clicking. Yep, yep. And we can still press spacebar, working just as normal. Very good. Move. Hmm. Okay, this is an interesting one. Because this bar is still here, we can just keep clicking and the button is always registered the on click. So maybe once you've clicked on a button, we need to have some way of removing all listeners from all buttons and hiding the bar. Let's see, action bar. Minus 100. Action bar UI. When we enter this state, we will do a quick do tween. Do move local Y local. Yep. I thought move Y meant it would only move. Oh yeah, end value. So we'll say 100 and see if that moves up 100. Duration's going to be 0.5, just half a second. Set ease as ease.linear, just so it just moves immediately. That can be changed later if I want it to be a bit smoother or whatever, or slidier. So I'd like to just make another one here. This says on exit, because when we exit the action state, I would like to hide the bars and things. So I don't think we care about any parameters. If we're exiting, we just exit. On exit, invoke this and event args null or empty. There we go. So let's on exit plus equals, we'll run something and we'll just unsubscribe as well. So this is pretty bad. You don't want to just slap some code in here. This should probably be a show and hide. And this, I've got a feeling this is 0. End value, not how much you want to change by. So if we're showing, it's setting at 0. When we're hiding, it's going back to minus 100. And then when we enter the state, we want to show, and then when we exit the state, we want to hide. And maybe run some code that update the actions in a way that removes all the button clicks, etc. So you can't just click on something Set all buttons to inactive or uh, disable all buttons. Oh, what am I doing? Probably void disable all buttons. So the movement action button callback is going to be nothing. End turn action is going to be nothing. Hopefully this works. Hmm. Will there be a list of action abilities somewhere? Maybe I should do that. Private list. Jeez. What happened? Why can't I just choose list? Private list of action bar UI item. And then for each of those, dot set button callback, and then do the same thing. So when you click the button, it should do nothing once we disable the buttons. So we don't actually need that in the end on the exit if I just add it into each of the pieces here. Update end turn. And when it comes to updating ability list, we just do the same thing. We set whatever the callback is to include disable all buttons. So let's get rid of the on exit. Looks like we don't really need it. Oh, hold on. Hide. I will comment it out for now. And then just also add hide inside here. Again, I'm not sure if this will 100% work, but let's just see how it wants to react. So when we enter, okay, the action bar is at minus 100. It did not want to become 0. How come? Show, do local move. So when we enter the state, what happens? On enter, show. Well, it says tween, but it ain't doing no tween. So let's just try adding in 100 then. I've not even got the thing in here. Maybe that's the problem. The action bar is on this, so this is trying to change. Maybe I can just slap this onto here instead and see if it works. Okay, it's doing something. Um, so what was this about? Action bar, yeah, okay. So we can't disable the buttons unless we actually initialize this somewhere. Yeah. Ability, action bar UI item list equals new. Uh, you know what? Just initialize it on start. Or maybe this is awake, or whatever the creation of this is. That's fine there. We just need to remember to actually empty this when we want to use it. And also let's change the values a bit. So it goes to 540. Is that local 100 though? Maybe the local is what's screwing up. Okay, much better. And if I leave, it goes away. Looking pretty smooth. Bit slow though. Bit slow. It doesn't keep with the snappy idea or snappy ideology that I'm going into this with. It needs to be boom. Next state, go away. Also, probably bad form having this hard coded like that. It's probably something that should be in config. Also means we can change it whilst the game is running without having to continuously change a value and then recompile. Where is it? There we go. Config, menu, show height speed. Super 1, movability and turnability. I haven't created those yet. Yep, that's better. Quick, quick, quick. Move, move. We can't move anymore. And turn, next person. Okay, press spacebar. That still skips. Lovely, brilliant. So what's next? actually executing the ability rather than having all the code in here. Oh, that's already all out. So that can probably get deleted. Perform movement, get out of here. So this select move position, maybe it's fine having move and end turn as being separate entities that aren't actually abilities. We don't need to add it to an ability list or anything. It's kind of fine if it works the way it does. What happens if I get rid of these? What's actually using these right now? Nothing? Okay. So that was one part of it. What did I want to get done today? Where's my book? Where's my book? Let's see. Oh yeah, actual abilities. All I've done is move and end turn. Alright, so move looks good, end turn looks good. And if I want to run any code based on ending the turn, then I have the end turn phase or state. I already do have a on battle unit selected for when someone's turn begins. Okay, so the regular abilities, let's get stuck in. Don't need that. Don't need this or that or this. Update ability list. So we're gonna have a clear ability list, which is just going to be the same as what we've seen before. For each item in action bar UI item list, no, it's the parent transform, and this is transform if child.gameObject equals to the template, we just continue because we don't want to destroy that. Otherwise, destroy the child game object. And then we set the this thing, we clear that out. So when we update the list, we want to clear the list. I've said in a previous video, but this sort of thing can be sped up if you start having problems with game speeds. Instead of always deleting or destroying objects and then creating new ones, you can pull the objects instead, which means you just keep them hanging around for the next time you want to use it, and then you just update it with the new data instead of just making a new one. So, and then I would probably have something like a get or create item, and that will fetch from the pool or will create a new object if the pool's run out of objects. Ability list is going to be a list of abilities. And we're going to get that through from the battle unit. Update ability list, battle unit dot abilities. No good? Oh, that's the object, not the list. There we go. And that should have been a good hint to me that this is not a list of abilities, it's someone else. Ability list is explicitly the ability list. So for each thing in the ability list, we will maybe create ability list item, ability list, and just pass in the ability like that. So we get the game object equals template, but instantiate the template equals ability list, and then maybe just put the name in there. Just name down, not put in sort of display name or anything. Yeah. Public string display name. You can, of course, just use ability.name, which is the object's name. But sometimes I would like to give it a more categorized name or specific name, like ability.fire, ability.something else. I've maybe already done it. Yep. So this is the object.name, and then inside you have display name, and then this is where you just have a nice name that you want to show off in the game itself. And also you can keep spaces out of it, which just makes it a bit nicer, I think. But anyway, so then we want to create the action bar UI item equals object dot get component, and here's just the same access to what we had before, but this time the icon's going to be important. Interactable will be a bit more involved, and then setting the button callback will probably, well, yeah, that's going to be more involved as well, because we need to target the ability. Maybe that'll just change to that select target position battle state, so it might not be too bad. I'll just add that in now. So disable all buttons and hide again. Then we have maybe this should have its own little back and forward subscriber event thing going. So the idea would be when you click the ability, disable all buttons, hide the menu, and then ping out an event that says this ability has been clicked on. And then maybe the battle.turn can update itself with the selected ability. Wrong thing entirely. Public static event handler on ability clicked. Does this just want to be an ability like so? For now, I'll try it, see how it works out. So yeah, when you click on the ability, on ability clicked, send this, and then send the ability itself. On ability clicked. I wonder if this happens immediately. So if you click, will it immediately run through all the events on the main thread? I wonder if, yeah, let's just give it a try then. Change state to select target position. So what I'm checking here is the turn controller is going to grab this, or it's going to subscribe to this event, and it will update the selected ability with the one that's passed in. And I want to check if this happens immediately or if it has a frame delay or something, because when we change state to this, which I guess has a frame delay itself, then if the if we are targeting, say, fire because it was clicked instead of first aid, then that would be really good. And that's all I've got to say really. That'd be a really quick and easy way of updating without accessing turn controller itself. Let's see, turn controller on start or on initialize, I guess here. We'll subscribe to action bar UI on ability clicked. And then we don't really need a separate function here. I think we just do selected ability equals E. But E is not very good, so we'll call this selected ability. This is still a remnant from the previous code, right? So let's lock it down a bit better, like some of the other ones we have. Serialized field, private ability, selected ability, and then we'll have public ability, selected ability, like that. Public void set selected ability, select ability equals ability. So oh, get return, and don't set anything because we don't want to be able to mistakenly set it with that. That's why we have set selected ability explicitly. We're setting it. Okay. Did anything else break or are we good? Looks like we're good. Okay, I don't think I want to test this yet. I want to see fire and first aid in the bar itself. So if I click fire, it'll give me the long distance range. If I click first aid, it should be a self casting range. Create ability list. So this is just grabbing from the unit. What else? What else is happening here? There is no abilities on any of these units yet. Let's open the unit, add an abilities component. Okay, let's head back. Let's add a few to some of these people. So Lorik is the only one. We'll just give him both abilities. Nothing, nothing. Okay. So there's fire and first aid. Oh. When we are creating this, we haven't done anything with it, which was silly. So object.transform.setParent. This is going to be the parent transform. We don't keep the same world position. And yeah, we probably would have an icon, unless I just haven't added that to abilities yet. So action bar, UI item, set icon. I can't do the interactable right now. There's needs to be extra functions added in. So let's check out these abilities. What do they have? They actually don't have icons. This doesn't need to be its own thing. We can just attach this here, icon. So see fire, it can be that thing. First aid can be this thing. So back in this, when we set the icon, it will be ability.icon. Straightforward. Um, and now there's got to be. I was going to add to the ability, and I might still, a can use function, but this is going to be explicit. I think it's going to be only down to the cost. Oh no, the target condition. No, that doesn't matter if he can use it. It's going to be cost only, I believe. Okay, let's add it. Public can use, and we'll pass in a unit because remember, abilities can be used outside combat, or can they? Maybe they should be able to be used outside combat for healing and things, which throws all of the code into the air. Everything uses battle units when it should be using entities. I keep saying it, I'll get around to it eventually. But for now, until I actually need it, I'll just stick with battle units. So can this battle unit use this? So the way this will work, I'll just run through a load of different statements and return false if any of them don't work. And then at the end, you just return true. So here we say, if we can't pay the cost, return false because you can't use it. And I think that's probably it for ability. In battle unit, I will have to add a public bool can use ability and then pass in the ability. So what I'm thinking is there'll be a few different flags here or Boolean returns. Can this character act? Are they dead? So then this will just do the same thing. Do a lot of checks and then pass false if any of them are broken, but then pass true if we succeed. Oh, got a little distracted there. Is there HP is dead? No? Okay, there'll be a lot of refactoring in this just on the way. So in HP, yeah, I guess we do have some kind of public bool is dead, or does, well, the HP, I guess, doesn't care. That's just a number. Where's best to store all this? Um, public bool is dead. If if they're dead, return false because he can't act. Um, so at the moment, all we're going to do for checking if they're dead is if hp.current is less than or equal to 0. So if they're dead, we can't act, and then this will be part of the can use ability. If you can't act, return false. Um, and then also if the ability dot can use this, so if we can't use the ability, return false. So this just checks the MP cost, or whatever cost it is, I guess, not MP. So then back to the action bar. I've maybe missed some things out here, but this will get grinded out as the code progresses. Action bar set is interactable. So is it interactable? We also need the the battle unit, so we can probably scrap this. Just pass in battle unit. And then list of abilities equals battle unit dot abilities dot ability list. Pass in the battle unit just so we can check if it's usable or not. Actually, this is not fine. This is not okay. We'll create the list item here. This is going to return action bar UI item, and we're going to cut this out and return action bar UI item, or UI item. And then in here is where we'll slap this, so we don't need access to the battle unit in here. We don't actually need anything in here. Just creating the object and passing it back. Action bar UI item dot name equals. Yeah, we'll just type this out. Battle unit dot can use ability, and we will pass in ability. And then that might be it done. I maybe missed something out, but as always, just give it a try. Can't convert this. Yeah, it's just battle unit. So he's got nothing, which looks terrible. He's got nothing, but with an error. Yep, there's no actual action bar UI item attached. The button goes in there, image goes in here, and before I forget, when we create the object, we will set it to active true so we can see it. So I'll do something about this. I'm not sure what right now though. Yeah, interesting. Probably hasn't got enough MP to pay for this, or maybe it's HP. But you can cast fire. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. And the right click still works actually to get out of the state. So when we're in the state, you right click and it comes back to this one. So select action. We will now remove the right click. So you shouldn't be able to right click to get into select target. So right clicking is doing nothing. Left clicking is doing nothing. Left click to move, it works. Right click to get out, it works. And then you see that slight, yeah, slight pause here. That's what I was talking about waiting one frame and then processing something. I think this needs to be switched around. Okay, so yeah, if I'm left clicking and right clicking, it does nothing. So if I click on fire, I can suddenly move around, and if I right click, it goes back to this state. We're slowly getting to something that resembles an actual gameplay loop. Skipping turns, using abilities on people. Yep, we're getting there. Let's see if we can sort this real quick. Let's just put that into here before we do the coroutine and see if it still does that little flicker. It does. Um, so when this triggers on enter, this triggers, and then we update ability list. Um, mm, Maybe after we've set everything, then I'll make it active or not. I don't know if this will make a difference either. Game object, set active. Oh, it does seem to actually make a difference. Okay. Okay, great. So yeah, I'm guessing that over the course of um, creating the object, making it appear visible, then returning the object, then doing some stuff on it, it actually shows it off. I was under the impression that all of this would happen in the same frame anyway, and so setting something interactable after making it appear visible, it would do it pretty much all at the same time, but I guess I was wrong about that. So yeah, just set it active after doing everything you want to it, and it seems to have fixed the problem. So what's next? What's left in this video? What was the purpose of this video? Have abilities as a list. Yep. Make, move, and end turn abilities. Well, I've kind of backtracked on that. It seems like it works fine without making them abilities. So the next few things would be having status effects, having some way of actually wrapping status effects as well as a component. Enemies, equipment, and using items and things. Okay. Yeah, probably status effects would be the next one. So that's a fairly long video for this one, but I think quite a lot was covered. Let's just go over it again. There's now a trigger to say we've entered the select action state. We've removed the left and right click sort of debugging ways of navigating the game. You can click move and it actually takes you to the move state. You can click end turn. We have abilities that are at the moment manually assigned, but as with everything, this can easily be changed so it's dynamic. Yep. Got a nice little animation of it dropping down, coming out again. This little thing here is kind of annoying. Maybe I'll just fix that just now. Just popped into my head a pretty quick way of fixing it. Is that the parent transform? So if all of this was back up to 0, yep, that would do it. So when we update the ability list here, we can end early. We can clear the ability list, do a little check to see if the ability list is empty, which probably never will be, but it's worth just having it in there, I guess. If ability list.count equals 0, or is somehow less than or equal to 0, then return early, but then also set the parent transform to be inactive. But just as a precaution, if it makes it past this, we want to set this to true. Just in case we've deactivated it previously, we want to make sure it's going to be active again this time. So let's just one last check. Yep, much better, much better. And it still works when you go to someone that does have something. Okay, cool. That's all for this video. Bye bye.